The host organization of our event today, BELBIZ group of companies, are doing much to get our startup community more close to world accelerators, not even regional accelerators. So we're happy that we represented today its program for startups. And now we're going to continue with a panel discussion about involvement and cooperation between big and large corporations and startups. And I would like to, yes, of course, I will take care about that. While Oksana Hoshva, she's a founder of a company, she will present our panel discussion, and I will also participate in that, and we will continue our agenda.
Yeah, cool, thanks. I hope to see more of my panelists in... Okay, cool. Elise, nice to see you. Maybe we'll take a seat here and have nice discussion. Yeah, so my name is Oksana. I'm from Ukraine. I have communications background, and yeah, I will present myself a bit later. But I think it's more important to learn first what people we have in this room. So we target our content to the best interest of you. So do we have startups here? Raise your hands if you're a startup. Okay, 3 startups. Do we have people who are coming from large business? Okay, 1. We have media, bloggers. Okay, 2, 3. Okay, who are the rest? Are you NGOs? Are you students? Are you just exploring? Okay, well, we will try to target the content we have to meet all the needs that you may have and try to answer the questions you may have later on. So let me first introduce a little bit myself. I'm hosting this panel. As I said, I have communications background and I'm from Ukraine. And a few months ago, I started to explore the new domain and exploring the innovations topic in terms of how large companies can innovate, and especially in terms of cooperating with startups and developers, external community, but also how they can innovate and boost innovations from within by applying all kind of frameworks like lean startup, design thinking, growth hacking, whatever like the startup world is using to develop disruptive products and solutions. And well, who was at the keynote presentation of Mike? If you've seen, have you seen the slide with the startup ecosystem? Yeah? Okay, can you raise your hands if you remember the slide with the startup ecosystem that Mike was sharing with us? No, just like the list of participants of the startup ecosystem. Okay, so let me remind you about this one. So actually, the startup ecosystem, it consists not only of startups. News number 1. Yeah, you have entrepreneurs, you have startups, you have universities, you have angels, you have VCs, incubators, accelerators, and you also have corporations. So that's why we are having this panel, because corporations are an important part of the startup ecosystem that helps it grow. But besides corporations and all the other ones I mentioned, you also have intermediaries or suppliers of services like I'm trying to do is connecting the big business with startups, because for example, if you're a startup and you're working on a like B2B startup, you may lack some knowledge how to approach large companies, how to present your product, what kind of people to talk to. So in this way you can ask for help and outsource this business development service. If you're a big company, you sometimes may have this need for innovation, but you have no idea about the startup ecosystem. So in this case, people like me can also be valuable. So I would say that this startup ecosystem is developing, and there is space for service providers. That's what I'm working on, just to explain myself. And then I'm happy to present, of course, very happy to present the speakers that will share some knowledge with you. And Tobias, I don't know if you've been to the section we just had on design thinking. Happy to see you in our panel too. And Elise, great to see you. And we also have a startup voice from Belarus, so you can learn a little bit from Nastia. So, yeah, we'll have a few minutes for questions, so yeah, maybe you want to take notes or something. So let's start this conversation about the large business and startups. We have very, I would expect more startups in this audience, so, but I hope you will learn the basic concepts and use this knowledge that you hear from us and the panelists. So question number one, maybe let's start with the general question, like why companies need startups, why it is hard to innovate from within, and yeah, let's start from here. Elise.
Hi, as said, my name is Elise, and I work as a startup lead in Microsoft in Central Eastern Europe. I come from the startup world, so I've seen everything that you have to do in order to actually start your own business. I've organized a lot of startup events in Europe, in Africa, and US, and the issue often was that there's a gap between communicating between startup world and the corporate world, although both care about innovation and technology. And first of all, why corporations really approach more startups and the innovation is to get closer of what is happening. It's not even so much that they can't innovate by themselves, but because often small businesses, small teams are much more innovative or quicker to do things rather than bigger teams inside big companies. And as you've heard about your comfort zone story today, then the startup teams are much more capable of going out of their comfort zone, while people who have been working for a company, it doesn't even matter whether it's a smaller or bigger one, for a long time, they're in their comfort zone. They're much slower to think outside of the box. And therefore, the startup thinking, working with startups, bring this new information inside. And, you know, that's definitely one of the biggest things why people inside corporations understand that they need to speak with startups, they need to go out there, they need to understand what they are doing. And then comes other things as well. In order to build your own businesses, you have to work with other businesses who might become more successful than you at some time, but also to help them to become successful. Because there has to be a win-win situation. And often corporations say that, you know, we want to help and we want to do all of those things. The truth is that we all want to win. If you're a startup, you want to be successful. If you're a corporation, you want to do the same as well. And you're open to build relationships, to build network, to build communications for your own business. That's the main thing why you do that. So it's totally fine for a corporation to help early stage, later stage startups to grow their businesses. Because if you get the win-win situation from there, whether it's new knowledge, whether it's growing your business, then everybody are happy at the end.
I think,
what do you think, Sam?
Yeah, let's ask Tobias to add a bit, but I think it corresponds a lot to what was told in the panels we had, like keynotes we had about the ecosystems and building this power. That's why companies, as was mentioned, open the APIs and engage startups, because this way they can make their position stronger. And of course, startups are not getting hurt along the way. It helps everyone. So how is it in SAP? Do you have any like startup? Probably you have startup outreach programs too. And yeah, share with us a bit.
Okay, hi, I'm Tobias, working for SAP in Germany. And I'm responsible for design thinking there. But however, I agree what you just said. There are a few things. That one is like that huge companies like Microsoft or SAP, of course, they invest in startups. There is even SAP. We have something it's called Sapphire Ventures, which is with a little bit more than €1 billion investing in startups, in several startups everywhere in the world. But there is another possibility that we were not talking about so far. It's that big companies, corporates can do in order to accelerate, like you said. They can treat their projects inside also as startups, and that's what we tried in the past, and what we're still trying, and also like making things better every day is. you know, we have like a software development organization with about 22,000 people. Microsoft might have even more.
Like 150,000.
Yeah, so a little bit more, and half of them, they're working on one product, right? So it's very difficult to make them accelerate, to make them come up with great ideas, to make them fast, like you said. So why not having smaller teams and treat them as a startup? Like give them a budget, give them responsibility from inventing something until delivering something, and make them also responsible for, because that's the biggest problem in big companies, that at the end nobody's responsible, right? If you have like big projects, nobody's responsible at the end. If it doesn't work, nobody's responsible. And if you treat the teams or the projects like in-house startups, then you can use the advantages of small teams of startups, and you can also combine them with the advantages that big corporates have, like the financial funding, the knowledge, the training programs, the support from inside, also from outside.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Maybe let's ask Nastia to share a bit about the Belarus experience in this way. Is big business here open to cooperate with developers, because you have a lot of experience and developers in here and startups too? The scene is developing, or it's not so common yet? And are there any examples in Belarus about this?
Yes, sure. Overall, the startup community in Belarus is growing very fast and rapidly, and we have several success stories that were published in the recent past years. But I must say that the relationship between startups and cooperation are connected to, two ways. First of all, we have, of course, representatives of world brands, like technological brands like Google, Microsoft, etc. But also we host here huge outsourcing companies, and they are also corporations, and they are in relationship to Belarus startups. I often listen from big brands that offices here in Belarus are concentrated most on sales, not on developing startup ecosystem, because they don't see any benefit from that. But without investing in the ecosystem, you would never get anything from the ecosystem. On the other hand, in Belarus, we need more international connections, more international experience, and those brands like global brands could contribute to that. So they could organize different events, invite different good companies, good examples, speakers, and to develop the ecosystem through that way. Frankly saying, we don't have real investment markets, we don't have funds, the angel investors are underdeveloped here in Belarus, so and we see that a lot of startups, they pitch abroad, and they participate in different events and accelerators, for example, abroad. But talking about examples, last year we had a good example when a big corporation, Mail.ru, acquired our Belarusian startups Maps.me, and now a team, Maps.me team now works for Mail.ru, developing their own idea and product there.
Well, acquisitions are, like, I think, number one ways this cooperation is possible, but there are so many other ways, and that's what Microsoft does. I think you have great examples of different formats of cooperating with startups, starting with BizSpark program and others, and I think it would be really interesting to hear about details, because we started with like general points why companies need it, but I think examples is something that is like really valuable. Maybe you can tell a little bit of all, like, I don't know, just name it, everything Microsoft has to offer for startups, and maybe we'll have some people that will apply afterwards.
Great, so let's do that. Definitely, it's like you said, it's one thing to get to sell yourself to a big company. This shouldn't be your first choice to approach a corporation. Just think, what's the business? What are the common topics that you can speak with them? But when we go to details, what Microsoft has to offer today, then when startup starts in the early stage, it's really important to keep your costs low and not spend your money into software or tools that you need in order to build your own service and product. So therefore, Microsoft has a BizSpark, like Oksana mentioned, program that gives you different tools that Microsoft has for free for 3 years, which means that while you're actually starting to build your product, you don't need to spend money on that. We give you cloud services for Azure. If you grow to be a little bit bigger, for example, if you get your first pre-seed or angel investment, you can get thousands of dollars worth of cloud credits, and that goes further than that. But as I come from the startup world, I know really well that, you know, it's one thing to get some services for free, but it's totally different to get people, to get connections. So therefore, we are building more and more the network from Microsoft that people could meet the startups. For example, with Startup Wise Guys, who is one of the partner accelerators located in Estonia, they currently have a startup from Belarus as well. They're one of the partners that we work with, and we have people from Microsoft who have worked with corporate clients for years doing sales workshops for business-to-business startups. Who else are the people who can teach you how to approach corporate clients than the people working inside corporations and doing the same every single day? I would also like to give a really good example of how we work with some startups. And this is a startup that I brought that as an example before as well. Trezorit, a startup from Hungary. They're building an encrypted cloud service. So you would think that, you know, they are a competitor for Microsoft, so Microsoft wouldn't do anything to help them. The truth is that from day one, Microsoft, not only through the free services, but also with people, has been mentoring, advising them, and has been offering extra services for them to really grow their business. And today they have gone through several series of investments. They have thousands of paying clients. They have grown out of Hungary, and they have their business built on top of Microsoft platforms as well. And it's a really important element to think that you should never be afraid that, you know, some big corporation might just be your competitor and you're not going to speak with them. It's vice versa. Go and speak with your competitor in order to understand where is the business and how to grow your business together. Because that's the way how you can really build these things. As Oksana was saying that, and also Nastia, then we need to build international relationships, and this is all around Central Eastern Europe. Most of the startups in here think about English-speaking markets, and corporations should be the ones who can help you to bridge that gap as well, and who can help you to get to the English-speaking markets. And, you know, one thing that I would like to emphasize is that inside corporations as well, you have to find the people who believe in you, so they can work with you to find the ways how you can get the resources or services or help out of that company. It's not like all the programs always have to be on the website and you just ask what's written there. Ask for more. Ask for contacts. If you want to work with an Xbox team or an Office team, first find a person inside Microsoft who believes in you, and he or she will do stuff for you to internally find people who you actually need. Because if we were mentioning here, if you have people working for a corporation, like tens of thousands of people, it's not easy to open doors everywhere. But the moment you get somebody support you, you get much, much further than that as well. And that's what's the most relevant thing, in addition of getting some software for free.
Thank you. I think, yes, you could apply, go to the website and check about all the opportunities. It's really fantastic what you do, and I think you have pioneering in many, many ways, because it's easy for like ICT and media, I don't know, like digital kind of areas, but it's more hard to innovate for traditional industries and startups that work in this way. I don't know if you have anything to share about this traditional industry innovation, and the same is true for multinational companies. You don't see the same level of innovation and like openness for startups from local companies. Is this true, or you do not share this statement?
I think that everybody have understood in the past few years that you need to be much more open with your business and also approach startups. And therefore, like Telefonica has Wira accelerators, and Microsoft has Microsoft Ventures accelerators. And it's all to build the next big startups. And if we saw the statistics from Wira, then the statistics from Microsoft Ventures accelerators are also amazing. So, for example, from Tel Aviv Accelerator, more than 90% of startups have received investment after the program. The material that you get within 3 months in there, I really know I can compare. I was a founding team member for an accelerator in Estonia. So it's amazing, all these connections that you can get and the mentors that they give you. And it's really important to get those details out of that. So corporations are much more open. They understand that they need to build their business together with startups. And then everybody are winners from there.
And I see a big trend now also. A lot of companies, they start to have these chief innovation officers and people who are responsible for startup outreach. It makes a lot easier for like startups to find the right contact person. And yeah, if you want to add something, yeah.
It's also even more than that. A lot of companies have chief innovation officers, but also a lot of companies have realized that their chief marketing officers are becoming those people who actually bring information in, because they just don't take care of what PR or marketing you're doing outside of company, but also how all your customers are interacting with you. So basically, marketing officers are more and more part of the innovation team as well, because they get a lot of information from your customers, and they're the ones who can help you to design your product and understand who are actually using it and what they would need. So there's a lot of information coming in from different people, and more companies understand that. I'm happy to see that it's also going the same way in Eastern Europe. So more companies understand that they have to have a person who is in charge for the innovation in the company, who brings in new ideas, who is, you know, the crazy one, who challenges the team members and challenges the current direction that you're moving. And these are the people that startups should and definitely could approach as first ones.
Tobias, maybe you can share with startups this advice how they should approach a big company using design thinking tools and maybe other ones, because some startups, they just make some mistakes, they don't understand the business of the company they're trying to reach, they are angry at companies for being too slow to respond, and then the progress of cooperation is very slow too. It may take, I don't know, years in some cases. So what advice can you share? And then we will be open for 1 or 2 questions. So if anyone wants to ask something, just be ready.
Well, as I mentioned in my speech before, I think in order to convince somebody to invest in your idea, it should already stand on solid legs, right? I mean, and like you said, to find somebody that is really interested in you, that is convinced working with you is a benefit. It's not so easy, but it will be easier if you can prove already that there is a need for what you want to do. it depends a little bit on if you approach a company that is doing something for consumers, because I think, I'm not sure, but I think most of the startups, they are more related to
B2C,
things.
you mean?
Yeah, B2C, that have solutions for like you and me. But for companies like us, it's also, what we do is more for business. So that means also the startups that approach us, usually they are more in the B2B. So, and there it's even more difficult to find the right users, for example, to prove their idea or to test their idea. But I can only encourage startups to go more in that direction, because I think there is a huge opportunity for that, not only going into the B2C things, because then your potential investors or customers or venture capital angels, so they are mostly from the same area. You have always the same. Everybody's streaming to get bought by Facebook and get 80 billion euros for it, or by Microsoft. But there is a huge demand or a huge need for B2B solutions and for small, smart things that big companies do not think about, because they are stuck too much in their original business.
Okay, thanks. Do you have any questions?
Can I add something on top of that? So
Yeah.
if you approach a corporation from your side, then yes, you have to find a person who's passionate about the sector you work in. But you have to have a business justification that you're approaching this particular corporation. So why you're doing that, why they would care. Because the person that you got interested has to sell your idea. So you need the credibility. You and also the person that you're approaching, who will internally start talking about you, needs credibility. So every time, remember that. If you ask something from a corporation, ask specific things. Help the people inside the corporation to find the answers for you. Don't just approach them. Actually, don't approach anybody, whether it's an investor, a corporation, or another startup, with like, oh, we were thinking that maybe it would be fun to just have a discussion. Ask for specific stuff. Ask that, we're working in the same sector. I was looking that you have paying customers, what we can do. Figure out what you need, and then approach the people. Then you get important discussion as well.
Yeah. Any questions? No? I think we are running out of time, so I guess if anyone else wants to add something to the discussion we had or share more advice, we have a minute for that. If not, thank you, and you can get our contacts from the website, and if you want to continue this discussion online, please do that, and thank you very much.
And also we organize such communication platforms like this international conference in order you to communicate to representatives of big corporations and brands. So we will have a chance to talk a little bit more during the coffee break after 4 p.m. But really we need to continue very fast and then to organize this room all together again. So let us thank the moderator and panel discussion and continue with our presentations. Thank you very much.